Just for some context, this memorandum of understanding is the result of Council being very keen to retain the interest in developers investing in a five-star hotel in our city. And I guess the determination of better ways to pursue that ambition within our city and keep at it. As you'll be aware, Better Ways had made an appeal to the Environment Court, which is just on hold at the moment. That would have been designed to resolve the issues thrown up by the resource consent decision some time ago. That process can be confrontational, it can be very expensive. This process that we entered into was a way of more constructively engaging with Better Ways to address the issues that were thrown up by that decision. And this is a way forward that we see as more of a partnership, a more constructive process to further our ambition of having a five-star hotel in the city. Happy to take any questions.
So how much of an advance is this?
Well, it's a more, as I say, it's a more constructive and more economical and more collegial way of addressing the issues in terms of getting, realising our ambition of having Better Ways invest in a five-star hotel in the city.
Have you actually addressed any of the issues yet, or is this just a framework for having discussions?
This is a framework for having. This is a framework for developing a new proposal for a five-star hotel.
And is everything on the table? I mean, height, location, site, or what's on, what's off?
Everything's on the table.
Everything's on and nothing's off.
Does that include the location?
The location that we're looking at is the location which is Wall Street.
So
This
that
relates-
location is off the table.
Wall Street is on the table. Wall Street hasn't changed.
Other locations are off the table.
Wall Street is the one that we're putting our emphasis on.
You still want to make Wall
We
Street
still want
work?
Wall Street, yes.
And you
If
believe
that,
it can
if
be
that
done?
doesn't work, though,
Yes. Pardon?
if that doesn't work, though, and the mayor has just said everything's on the table. So other
We don't see
locations.
why it won't work.
A district plan change would make it a lot easier for it to go through, wouldn't it? Conceivably than just an open resource consent on.
Yes, but we have to understand that you would still have to address the same kinds of issues on that site to get a plan change as you would. The issues aren't different. Things like traffic, connectivity, pedestrian connectivity, transportation, all that sort of thing. They're the same. They have to be addressed. This is just a different way of addressing them.
And the connectivity issues, just to elaborate on what they are and what changes here?
Well, the big change, the really big change is that it now brings in the ability to put a pedestrian passway or traffic passway from Queen's Gardens through to the Wall Street site and through to the wharf itself.
So is that something your people are happy to put in for, in terms of financially, or is that what we're talking about here?
The context is that the city had, if you recall, pedestrian connectivity plan with our long-term plan some years ago. It was taken out. And so the bottom line is that there has been for a very long time a recognition that with or without a hotel, pedestrian connectivity across the railway line to the harbour basin was very desirable. It was in our long-term plan. It's been taken out, it was taken out when we were taking out discretionary capital projects, when we're doing a bit of an efficiency drive. What we're recognising is that in the context of building a five-star hotel on this side, or any other for that matter, in that area, that kind of connectivity would be essential. And the council recognises that it had planned it and it would probably continue to plan it.
Does that mean then that Better Ways are looking at financially contributing to that connectivity?
We haven't made that decision.
Is this actually a change or window dressing to show that you're both doing something, though what it is I'm not 100% sure?
I think I've already explained that this is a
It's a
framework.
blunt question, but
This is a framework to move forward to realise the ambition of both the city and Better Ways to achieve a five-star hotel in the city.
Can you explain what the difference is between the talks that you've already engaged in and what this next step is about?
Thank you. That's what I can't figure out either.
The talks we've already engaged in were working out what the best way of going forward was. That we've come to that conclusion. This MOU is the product of that.
Right. So this is the point at which you get down to the nuts and bolts and work through each issue.
But there's something to be said in this process that's substantially different from anything that Dunedin City Council's ever done before. So we're proposing setting up an independent urban design panel that will be asked to advise on key issues around design and then all of the other issues that were thrown up by the resource consent process. And to independently advise both us and Better for whether the new journey we're on, whether the proposal that comes out of that will address all of those concerns.
Okay,
Now,
so
we've never done that before.
Does
We
that-
pay for the panel members. Better pays for the proposal to create a hotel that will address the issues, and we pay for experts that we get, just the same way as we do during the resource consent period.
Does that step happen now, or do you have a hurdle or two to get over before that urban design panel is created?
Before we put the urban design panel in place, we both us and Better need to be confident that the traffic issues can be resolved.
So that's
So that's the
direct,
first hurdle.
that's a direct discussion between Betterways and council
Yep,
staff?
that work's underway now.
Right.
And then if we're both satisfied that the traffic issues can be resolved, then we put this urban design panel in place. This is something that's used in Auckland. We've taken considerable advice out of Auckland on this. So, and Wellington, yeah. So it's a good process and one that we're pretty happy to be introducing down here in Dunedin.
The traffic issues around that site were some of the biggest issues identified in the hearing. So how difficult is it to get beyond that hurdle and get on to the urban design?
Well, in the hearing, we were at the stage where we had almost resolved them, so we don't see that they're insurmountable by any means. We think that they're achievable. There needs some more work to be done. Yes, I'm still absolutely positive about
I was
this.
just thinking
See the smiley face, Chris.
But there's a reason that we're dealing with this first, because
Yes.
it is a particularly thorny issue.
And
So how difficult do you say it is to address those?
I think there's some issues.
So there's a way to go, there's a bit of a difference.
But that's why we're getting the work done.
I
So
think
we're
it-
getting experts
I
from
think it'd be
both
fair to
sides.
say that both sides appreciate the fact that it's a critical issue.
Yeah.
That's why it's been separated out and dealt with first, because there's no point in going on to the others until that's resolved. And that was recognised independently by both sides.
Does that show in the talks that you've had up until now, it's become an issue, that's become a roadblock, that you need to wait through?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that there are a range of issues that were thrown up by the decision that have to be confronted, but it was recognised independently by both sides that the traffic one was out on its own, and that's why it's being dealt with first.
Helen?
This MOU has got us working together as a team. That doesn't mean to say that we necessarily will agree at the end, but it means we're working together rather than against each other. And we are both, obviously, the city is keen to make sure that the city grows, and we're keen to invest in the city, and we think that our project will be a major impact in that growth.
How quickly do you think you'll get through those traffic issues, assuming you do, and get on to the urban design?
Relatively quickly.
Weeks.
Weeks,
Yeah,
months?
Yep.
Weeks.
Weeks.
The other big issue in the hearings though is height. Is that, what's the thinking on that?
Well, there's been a lot of issues raised on height and everything else and design. The purpose of the design panel is to resolve those issues with people who are experts that we can all rely on. The evidence, I think, is very clear from what's happened subsequent to that hearing, that everybody has a view on what is acceptable in relation to height. Everybody has a view that what's is acceptable in relation to look and design, and no two people agree, other than me and my client.
Is there a budget for the council for hiring experts and all that sort of thing? Do you know how much this is going to cost?
The expense for council, as I understand it, would be largely for the urban design panel, and I think there's been some estimates done, I can't recall exactly. We projected out what it would cost, roughly, but bear in mind that were the appeal to the Environment Court to continue, we've estimated the cost to council could be $300,000.
are you willing to spend $300,000 to avoid going to court?
Well, it would be cheaper if you spent less and achieved a better result, it would be a bargain.
For both sides.
Just to go back to the height issue, is Better Ways open to the idea of a smaller hotel?
Everything is on the table and nothing is off.
So that's a yes?
It's neither a yes nor a no. Perhaps use the word I coined with you last time,
So
because
you're-
that's speculation.
You're not keen on it,
Pardon?
but it's on the table.
I'm saying,
Everything
I
is
think
on the
everything's
table.
on the table.
It has to be.
It depends on the design and the look. You know, that may or may not affect the height. We may end up with a taller building, we may end up with a shorter building. I don't know the answer. We're prejudging now. We're trying to pre-guess what's going to happen in the future.
Do you think you'll have any trouble agreeing on who'll be on that design panel?
We've tossed
No.
a few names around, I think we'll be,
Yep.
we'll be okay.
Dunedin people
Some,
and some from outside.
possibly.
What sort of people? Architects?
Yeah, if you-
Ideally a mix, a
Yeah,
good mix.
if you look at urban design panels elsewhere, they tend to have eminent architects, often academic architects, as chairs,
And
but a
also
range of other expertise.
planning experts, that kind of thing?
Would there be sort of a community representative or, someone on behalf of the layman?
No, it'd be skill-based.
Right. Do you think that we will end up with a substantially different looking building at the end of all this? I mean, what are the...
I don't know the answer. You know, if you take Peter Entwistle's article last week, Judge Jackson came up with a hotel which I thought was stunning. Peter Entwistle didn't, and neither did my wife. So I don't know how to answer your question, Chris. Everything's on the table and nothing's off.
Will the experts be costing the type of thing that they recommend or the type of changes that they make?
No, Better Ways will be controlling the purse strings as far as the cost of the hotel.
Oh, no, I mean estimating the costs of the changes, so that you know what you might be dealing with if they recommend, I don't know.
Yes, that's Better Ways, that's
That's-
Better Ways.
That's yours.
So, I mean, we're all clear, this still has to be a hotel that is financially viable for Better Ways.
Once it goes to the urban design panel, does it require the agreement of all parties on whatever comes out at the end of that process? Or do they sort of have the final say and say, take this or leave it?
No, what happens is that council will take advice on whether the finalised proposal addresses all the issues that need to be addressed, and Better Ways will assess it in terms of its viability. And then each will make an independent decision as to carrying on.
But the design panel comes up with a recommendation. This is what we think it should look like.
And we think it will get over all the hurdles that were raised in the initial process.
And then it's obviously up to each of you to...
Well, sorry, we keep talking about the initial process. The reality is that the hurdles that have to be got over irrespective of that first decision. This has nothing to do with the first decision. And it seems to people seem to be thinking that this is something to ameliorate the last. This is not. It's a process. Irrespective of who does anything in the city, today or tomorrow they have to satisfy certain obligations. Those obligations do not change. It's got nothing to do with that last decision. Those obligations remain. And, we've talked about connectivity, we've talked about traffic, we've talked about height, we've talked about design. Those things remain for anybody that's building a large building in the city.
Does that mean that from your side, you approach this as almost a blank slate exercise? You've got a site that you want, now you've got a process, but actually you're starting again in terms of the design and the look and the size and everything.
Well, you can never start again because some work's already been done.
Yeah.
So you're building on what's been done in the past.
Yeah.
And we'll be building in a very positive way because we'll be able to see what the city's view is, and we'll also be able to go, as I say, to this design panel of experts that I'm confident will come up with a building that not everybody will like, but a lot of people will like. And I think that the outcome will be very, very positive for the city.
The plan change.
Sorry. Well, in hindsight, could you have done this process the first time? Because what happened was the city, you ended up with a fairly fixed design that was presented to the city and then went through the legal process and then it hit the gateway problems.
Well, I'm fascinated by that. I mean, it would have been nice if we had known. It was new. It was a new frontier for the city and therefore for us. You know, the city hadn't considered a tall building in the city, although, as I understand it, the first skyscraper was built in New Zealand, in Dunedin, the mutual funds building, and so there has been times when we have led in the city. This is another time. You know, we could have done it better. Always you can do things better. We did what we thought was right. We did it the best way we could. As it turned out, there was too lots of evidence. The panel decided they preferred the evidence against us. I would say it was because it was too big an idea for them at the time. We have a process of review going on with that. The council and us are now working together so that we can come up with a result that is a win-win. That's what we want to get.
Dave, just going on from that, what's the council learned in terms of big projects, in terms of stopping all this time that's gone on and making sure these things can roll through in a swift motion?
Well, as Steve said, it's possible that it could have been approached a different way, but council is not, cannot change the statutory process. When an application goes to the resource consent hearing, council stands back. It's running the process, but it's running it according to the rules laid down by the Resource Management Act. So it's quite constrained. And this, what we've done here is say there are a number of options. One is an appeal to the Environment Court. One is looking at the possibility of a plan change. There are probably others. This is the one that we feel is the most constructive under the circumstances now.
This has been a really long process for your clients. Are they feeling really positive about this now, or is this just kind of another process that they've got to get through before they achieve their end goal?
No, we're very positive about it. We see this as a way forward. I mean, at any time, my people could have decided to fold their tent and walk away. You know, the great thing for the city is that they are committed to it, and I think that's that's a wonderful advantage for us, and is what kept all of us going in relation to this negotiation. It's a golden opportunity for the city.
Dave, what do you think people will make of this step? I mean, obviously there was a lot of submissions on this. Most of them on the original hotel. Most of them were opposed. Do you think people will support this approach?
I would hope that the people who supported the hotel would see this as the city constructively engaging with a potential investor in a positive way, and I would hope that the people who opposed the hotel would see that the council recognises that the issues that were raised by the decision are being addressed in a constructive way.
The plan change process allows another round of submissions.
Yep.
Can we talk about, sorry.
No, it does. Yeah, I just agree.
Can we talk about the plan change a wee bit? At the moment it's zoned industrial. What would it be changed? What could it be changed to? What would happen?
Yeah, well, look, I think that one at this point in time, we have to wait and see what comes out of the urban design process in order to test what.
Sure, but the MOU clearly flags that
Yes.
that a plan change is likely if everything
To zone it
gets to that point. What is that recognising? That one of the two gateway tests is going to be hard to meet with industrial.
That's right. So it zones it as something that's
Hotel friendly.
Hotel friendly. This plot of land was right in the middle of the Harbourside development, and you'll recall when we exited North Harbourside, we left the plan change for South Harbourside in place. This plot of land, we actually put it in the North Harbourside bunch and removed the Harbourside change. So one suggestion has been made is that it would actually be, in a sense, an extension of the South Harbourside plan change, potentially, to zone it for mixed use. So there's a number of options on the table here.
Is that recognition then that?
But not industrial.
Yes, that could be the key game changer, isn't it? You make the hotel possible if you can satisfy other concerns before that.
As long as you satisfy those other concerns, yes.
And then it would be easier to progress it.
So this process that you're using, what projects has it been involved with in, say, Auckland or Wellington that have gone on to be successful?
I'll have to give you a list that's fairly extensively used in Auckland now, so I can get you a list.
Dave, how important in the end is this project to Dunedin?
Oh, look, Dunedin has been hankering for a 5-star hotel, and the need for it has been recognised for a very long time. And I guess that sort of commentary has intensified since the building of the stadium. Because every time we want to have a decent event here that attracts people from outside the city, the cry always goes up. There's not enough top quality beds. So this is important. This would be a major investment for the city and very beneficial.
And precedent setting for other projects too?
I don't know whether you mean the hotel would be precedent setting or the process would be precedent setting. Well, insofar as we haven't pursued this process before, yes, it would be a precedent, and if it's as successful as we hope it is in resolving the issues, then we'll be very pleased and delighted to engage that way with other investors.
And the hotels, people have made commentary in the business community, if I'd say that process of the rejection of the hotels to panel was negative in terms of projects for Dunedin.
Yeah.
Other people holding their money back.
Frankly, that kind of commentary is ignorant because it is persistently not recognising that it is a statutory process. Council can't say, yes, you can build a hotel there or anything else there regardless of the rules. It would just be appealed. So the commentary that council could have short-circuited it or altered the rules or whatever is disingenuous and naive.
What is your hoped for timeframe to get to a plan change hearing and get something agreed?
Expeditiously.
Like this year or?
I would hope to be through the urban design panel process well before the end of this year, but
We'll do it as quickly as we can.
as quickly as we can. It depends on what that process throws up for us all.
How confident are you, Mr. Rogers?
I'm as confident as I was from the first day I met you.
Was it 100% or 99%?
No, I think it was 99%. I always left a margin of error.
So you went down a little bit, are you back up now?
I'm back up.
Has there been some sort of sticking point? Because there's been like, oh, we're going to announce it. Oh, no, we're not. Oh, we are. No, we're not. Yes, we are. No, we're not. And so until this morning that it said that we're going to have a meeting today, I wasn't quite sure whether there would be one. So I wondered if there's been some sticking thing in the background.
There's been nothing sticking in the background. What's happened is we've got to make sure that we've crossed all our I's and dotted all our T's and come to a situation where everybody is happy with what's progressing. So it's just part of commercial business. You know, it has taken a bit longer, I suppose, because you've got a political interface with a commercial interface, and that always takes longer because there's different views taken on things.
Yes, we do have other engagements, so there's